Hello everyone. Many of you have contacted me, explaining that your family or friends now think you are totally crazy for even entertaining this idea. I don't like to hear about relationships falling apart, so I thought I would do a short video that you can send to people, which will hopefully explain that you are not crazy. Well, you might be crazy, but you are not being crazy about this. If you have been sent a link to this video. Hello, family and friends. Let me first quickly explain why you are hearing a digitized voice. I suffered a brain hemorrhage last year, which left me partially paralyzed and unable to speak clearly. Think of me as a cross between Tom Cruise and Professor Stephen Hawking, with a better music collection and a wicked sense of humor. I am 47 years of age, a dual United States and United Kingdom citizen. I trained as an engineer in the 1990s, and cross-trained into computer graphics and digital simulation soon after. I spent much of my career working on military, civilian, and motorsport simulators, mostly for Formula One. I have a keenly logical mind. I am not a conspiracy theorist. And though I believe in the possibility of intelligent life being found elsewhere in the universe, I do not believe they would travel thousands of light years to talk to someone in their bedroom in Kentucky. Like most of you, I was repulsed by the barbaric news I awoke to on October 2nd, 2017. A madman had fired automatic weapons at a large crowd of people attending a country music festival in Las Vegas, Nevada, killing 58 people, and wounding over 700. How could anyone be so heartless, ruthless and sadistic? I was saddened, disgusted, and a little bit more afraid of the world which we all share. I remember thinking, when I first heard that Stephen Paddock had fired from the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Thank goodness for that. If it had been the 33rd floor, the conspiracy nuts would have gone crazy. Still, the number of casualties seemed incredible. I was not surprised to see ISIS claim responsibility. I felt this must be the work of multiple gunmen. A lot of water has gone under the bridge since then. Questions. All we have are questions. If you have made it this far, I think we are going to be okay. I am not going to try and shock or surprise you. I will not be showing any disturbing graphic images or using any bad language. This is already going to be hard enough. You may still be shocked, surprised or angered by what you see. We have all been through these feelings. And when we get to the other side, your family and friends will no longer be crazy, and neither will you. We are going to cover a lot of information very fast. It is hard to fit 9 months of cooperative investigation into only a few minutes. If you would like to know more, there are quite a few other videos to choose from. The entire 9-month thought process has been documented. And remember, nobody here is going to preach. We just have questions. You don't have to do a thing. Just open your eyes, open your mind, and try to relax. Let us get started. When it was confirmed by the authorities that Stephen Paddock was a lone gunman, media outlets, and later, the police, confirmed that he had fired over 1,000 rounds of automatic fire. However, when photographs of his room were first released, no more than 50 empty shells could be seen. It should have been hundreds upon hundreds of empty shell casings. There were many reports of multiple gunmen. There was even a report of a second gunman in the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Many people reported seeing what could have been a muzzle flash visible on the 4th floor.
It seems like it's coming from up there. Oh shit,
There were multiple reports of gunmen heard on the police radio, and accounts of very loud, close-range gunfire at other casinos, from practically every resort and hotel, for 2 miles along the Las Vegas Strip.
There's one that came on at 23:06 hours, secondhand, and there was a shooter at the front desk of New York, New York. And there's approximately 150 subjects sheltered in place inside the kitchen area there. And 2 shots were fired by casino floor.
So
And there's several subjects down at New York, and zooming. Okay, now I'm getting information of an active shooter at Tropicana. Now they're also saying one at Aria. We got reports of a guy with a gun here. That's the Paris. Gonna get to the street. Copy is a male with a 413 at the Paris. Somebody go to 413 at Paris.
Control 307 WC, can we contact Planet Hollywood? We're getting some reports, possibly some shots there.
Please be advised at the Bellagio employee entrance, there's a male walking in with a rifle. Bellagio employee entrance.
But we're getting intel that possibly a white male in a black t-shirt with a long rifle is going into nightclubs and areas and clearing people out. He may be the one causing all this pandemonium.
Be advised, we were told that there's 3 females on the trash can area behind the CDOs. Look like they possibly had weapons in their hands.
Eyewitnesses with highly relevant backgrounds, including a Marine, gave compelling accounts and video, confirming that something rather serious had happened at these locations.
And then I hear gunfire.
Go downstairs right now. Everybody go.
There it is.
Okay, this is the live video inside the Bellagio Hotel.
Hey, is it all right to get into the casino?
Inside. Take cover inside.
Take cover inside?
Hang on, we gotta take a second.
No worries.
Curiously, even though the police very quickly dismissed these reports, and though there were no reports of casualties from these locations, the people were detained until approximately 4 o'clock in the morning.
So, what's the current situation? We can't leave?
3.5 to 4 hours after we were escorted up. Okay, I didn't go to bed till 5 a.m.
They didn't allow us to go back to our hotel until 4:20 a.m.
As you are a rational human being, with a sense of logic, you can already see that these events, at least, seem curious. As I am sure you can imagine, the official story of a lone gunman was being challenged. With everything considered, it really did seem that in some way, it might possibly involve multiple shooters. However, things were about to start becoming illogical, or in other words, a little bit weird. Even though the FBI had requested everybody turn in their phones, more and more videos were being uploaded to the internet, and some of them showed some very unexpected scenes. People spinning hats on their fingers, while gunfire supposedly rained down upon them. There were people walking slowly, holding hands, or standing in groups, talking and having a smoke, as people next to them, in unison, would dive for the ground. Some people seemed far more interested in the crowd's reaction than their own safety. videoing the panic during the gunfire, without so much as ducking or even flinching at the sounds and effects of a machine gun. And then being seen, moments later, surrounded by the same people he had just been filming, cowering in total fear on the ground, as if they were discussing something. There was a truly perplexing scene, which showed many people crouching on the ground, with many people also stood up, cuddling each other, and having a drink. While at the same time there appeared to be someone giving hand signals, like you might see when someone is directing an action scene in a movie. As I am sure many of you know, when your mind says it is time to run for your life, or in other words, panic, there is no time for hand signals, finishing drinks, or anything else. It is simply time to not be at that location anymore. So, why were so many trying to duck for cover and yet many others seemed almost uninterested? In one of the most famous and well-researched videos taken that night, there was a moment when a fairly large and scattered group within the crowd all turned and started to leave, at exactly the same moment. Others in the crowd were completely bewildered, as this was seconds before the sounds of gunfire started to panic. There was also something strange about the crowd numbers themselves. The police and media were all reporting a crowd size of 22,000, but many of the videos and photographs did not seem to have many people in them at all. Recall that I said I have mainly modeled motorsport venues. These can often have crowd numbers in the hundreds of thousands. Using my professional experience, I made a simple model of the venue, and placed 22,000 human-scale models within it. The numbers we were seeing in the videos were nowhere near 22,000 people. Where was everybody? Even the streets around the venue were practically empty. How did 20,000 people just vanish like this? I hope you are still with us. We're nearly there. You see, they are not crazy, there are some perfectly legitimate questions that should be asked. And I am sure there are quite a few of you watching this, who have already worked out what we are seeing. Before I explain what I think really happened that night, I want to show you a few things that for me confirmed what I was beginning to suspect. Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye. The famous taxi video proved to be a wealth of information. For the first part of the journey, the driver was supposedly on their own and located very near the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Partway into the video, the taxi picks up some concert attendees, one with an alleged broken leg.
Broken leg.
Broken leg. Yeah. Okay.
The passengers are very insistent as to where they want to go.
Everybody's dead! Come on! Luxor!
Why is she
The Luxor Hotel, directly on the opposite side of the venue.
Take us to the Luxor.
But they soon decide that any nice hotel will do.
Where are you guys staying?
I don't.
Just any hotel.
Please say we go to New York, New York. No, I didn't know.
No, that's way. I'm not going back to that area.
Is there like a nice hotel around here?
Public area.
The taxi footage is an important document, where the driver filmed for about 20 minutes, driving with one hand and recording history with the other. It captured a heroic rescue at the venue, and then followed the passengers to safety. The curious thing was, as they neared the end of their remarkable journey, we noticed the driver used 2 hands for a sharp corner, so we had another couple questions. Who was holding the camera all this time, and what were they filming? And why did they feel the need to hide their presence? Why were we seeing people pretending to fall down in the background? Why were we seeing some people wearing white face makeup? What look were they going for? Why were the police body camera videos so bizarre? They were allegedly taken only moments before they stormed into Stephen Paddock's room. But they seemed very relaxed, even pausing for a comfort break and a bottle of water.
So, yeah, so Zebra needs to go.
Why do we see, in one very telling scene, people passing the camera, obviously escaping the venue? But on the other side of the fence, in darkness, we see people heading back toward the venue. That is, of course, until someone shines a bright light onto them. Oops. Then there is the granddaddy of them all, the trump card, the ace of spades, the checkmate, the you sunk my battleship. Dummies. No, not you. I mean, actual dummies. With spines and necks that remain elastic and straight, even though the scene is supposed to be an unconscious someone receiving CPR in a wheelbarrow. Dummies with rubber flailing arms. Almost, but not entirely, unlike real arms. And my favorite, the one with the inflatable intestines. Hey, dummy. No. Your lungs and intestines are not connected like that. Can you imagine how bad your breath would smell? It is quite obviously something like a Tom mannequin. They use these in lots of training exercises these days. All over the world. Even in Cornwall. So, what happened on the 1st of October, Las Vegas, 2017, and was then broadcast around the world, in the days and weeks that followed? I know this is going to be a tougher pill to swallow, but you have seen the same evidence that we have. I know this was a lot of information to take on board. But I am sure, as long as you can be honest with yourself, you can at least understand why there are still so many unanswered questions. I've been looking for answers for 9 months, and here is the only theory that can answer everything logically. What we saw on the 1st of October 2017 at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada was theater. It was a production. An illusion. We were all fooled. Me too. The reason there were not over 1,000 shell casings in Paddock's room is because 1,000 rounds were not fired from his room. The reason we were told about flashing lights on the 4th floor is because that is what they wanted us to think, to possibly encourage the idea of multiple shooters, if their plan had been more successful.
Oh shit,
The reason there were fake shootings at the other casinos is so that they could scare and detain
What's the current situation? We can't leave?
tens of thousands of people for as many hours as they needed to keep eyewitnesses and sightseers away from the venue, so they could make their massacre videos. The reason so many people were acting like it was not real is because it was not real. So many were able to act unafraid because they knew there was nothing to be afraid of. It looked like there were directors and cameramen in the crowd is because there were directors and camera people in the crowd. The reason so many people left early at the same time before the shooting and panic started is because they hit the wrong cue. The reason we don't see 22,000 people during many of the videos is because this was done in 2 phases. Phase 1 was to scare regular concert goers out of the venue, and then create further terror at hotels and casinos along the Las Vegas Strip. Once these people were evacuated and detained, Phase 2 started. A much smaller crowd, consisting of actors, maybe around 1,000, made their fake videos. The reason the broken leg was never an issue and they did not want to go to a hospital is because the leg was never broken and they did not need a hospital. That is why, in this video, and every other video of the attack, you never hear anyone say, "Ouch." The reason they wanted the Luxor, and then any really nice hotel, is because they were actors from out of town, probably California, and didn't realize what a ludicrous journey that would have been. And nice hotels and other major locations were the rallying points where the actors would be collected for transport out of the area. Why was there a hidden cameraman who did not want to be seen in the taxi, filming all those dramatic moments like he was making a movie? Because he was filming a scene which was to be broadcast as if it was real. He was making a movie with some very bad actors. Or if you prefer, thespians. People were pretending to fall down because it was make-believe. You do not play games when you are facing death. Some people were seen wearing white makeup to make them look very, very pale. Like if they had been shot and killed, and all their blood had drained away. The reason the SWAT team seems so relaxed, when in just a few moments, they are to face a madman with a machine gun, who is responsible for almost 1,000 casualties, is because this is not a video of such an event. This is make-believe. A training exercise or something. We see people passing in front of a camera, in one direction, and then sneaking in the dark on the other side of the fence, going in the other direction, so that they can run in front of the camera again, multiple times, and make a handful of people seem like many people. Well, until some idiot turned his lights on. I bet he was popular after that move. The reason we saw dummies is because they were to be used as props in action scenes, and because no self-respecting stunt performer would want to be handled by these people. trying to break their neck, or dropping them, or dragging them across a parking lot, or, giving them heart-crushing, intestine-bursting CPR. So, why did they do it? Why did they want the world to believe that a man in his hotel room had tried to kill so many people with a machine gun? I believe, at this stage of my investigation, it was propaganda designed to primarily target red state Americans, and specifically, the Second Amendment. It was hoped that such an attack would cause such disgust and anger that people would voluntarily give up their rights, and also turn them against Constitution-supporting, patriotic Americans. They did this under the cover of provisions afforded them in the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, which allows for the first time, for State Department and government propaganda to be targeted at Americans. We have investigated this, and many other aspects of this troubling case, in much greater detail, in the other videos in this collection. We should not always believe what we see on a screen. Just because we saw it on the television, does not make it real, no more than a horror movie is real. How many pulses did you check personally? We don't know what happened. We are being told what happened. To me, this was obviously just a flash mob. But instead of bursting out into song and dance, they burst out into the act of massacre. In other videos, we talk about other curious observations, like how people only fell over on the AstroTurf. How people with multiple gunshot wounds were bloodless and able to easily enter and exit motor vehicles without any aid or apparent signs of discomfort.
It sounded like some fireworks.
We thought it was fireworks. We thought it was fireworks.
Thought it was fireworks.
We investigate witness statements, where hundreds of people report exactly the same thing. None of them were quite sure what they had heard, but they were all sure it sounded like firecrackers.
The firecrackers. Similar to firecrackers.
Sounded like 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 firecrackers.
Thought it was firecrackers.
Thought it was a firecracker.
We heard firecrackers. Believed to be firecrackers. Thought it was firecrackers. Thought it was firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers. Thought it was a firecracker.
Thought were a series of firecrackers.
Thought they were firecrackers. Sounded like firecrackers.
Heard noise like fireworks or a firecracker.
Thought it was firecrackers. What sounded like firecrackers?
Sound of firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers. Sounded like firecrackers.
Thought it was firecrackers. Thought it was firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers.
Thought it was firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers.
Sound like firecrackers. Thought firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers.
Sounded like firecrackers. Sounded like firecrackers. Thought I heard firecrackers. Thought was firecrackers.
Like they were all recalling the same script. We discuss how rules, used to keep emergency personnel safe in dangerous situations, were actually used to keep them away from the venue, until the actors had cleared the scene, and more convincing props were in position. Rubber dummies and actors might fool us, but they are not going to fool EMTs and other emergency responders. We find some interesting surprises in the autopsy reports, which seem to indicate that many of the alleged victims may have died several days before the attack. We investigate the crowd in great detail, showing how some in the crowd are paying more attention to the cameraman, as they supposedly cower in fear from a machine gun attack, yet are seen seconds later, in a group, huddled around the same cameraman, showing no signs of fear at all. We discuss how on many occasions, the same people keep showing up in dramatic photos and videos, with some appearing to hang on to glasses of red liquid during the attack, and others that always seem to be in the thick of the action. And studying the witness statements, it is revealed that practically nobody went to hospital in an ambulance. It was always pickup trucks, Uber taxis, and in the trunks of cars. We go through many of the videos, placing them on a timeline, which clearly showed where they switched from the main concert crowd to the much smaller group of actor videos. We also discuss the evidence, which seems to suggest that this horror show was to be far greater in scale, but that something else caused them to abandon their greater plans. We also postulate on the idea that the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act not only allows them to create this kind of propaganda, but also attempt to control the reaction to it through the news media, the internet, and social networks, and video sharing websites, and their comment sections, promoting ridiculous theories about attack helicopters, Saudi Arabian snipers trying to kill a royal prince, MS-13 gangs, ISIS, multiple gunmen, or that really crazy idea about an old man in his hotel room. There is an abundance of information in these videos that I have not had time to mention, which all points to the same logical conclusion.
All initial opinions are this is genuine. What you're about to see may disturb you.
We need to warn you, of course. It's extremely upsetting, both to watch and to hear. Some at the concert thought it was firecrackers, some thought it was something wrong with the audio. They say it took them just a few moments to realize what was happening.
And there was a sound like it was pyro, like it was pyro misfiring. I was like, why was it? Why is there pyrotechnics going off now? It was like tit-tit-tit-tit. And then a few seconds later, it was tit-tit-tit-tit-tit-tit. And when it didn't stop, we all realized what was happening. And
maybe the crazy ones are not the family and friends who want to talk about this. Maybe the crazy ones are the ones that believe the TV over their family and friends. We have been, and still are, being deceived. In fact, there is only one thing, after all this time, of which I am now completely certain. They can take this country music and shove it right up their ass. next time. If it happens in Vegas, keep it in Vegas.